How is everyone's quarantine going? Have you watched a lot of movies? Have you laid around and done nothing? Which seems to be a very popular thing to do. Nonetheless, I have been home and I've been watching Cant Blood. Yes, it's come to this, folks. I'm watching Cant Blood. And not only did I watch Cant Blood, I watched 6 different Cant Blood movies. So, if you're familiar with them, some may say that's not a very easy task. Now, these are on Tubi, which this isn't sponsored by Tubi, but they're on there if you want to watch them. There's also a lot of good stuff on here. I have a lot of movies on this shelf. I have a lot of movies on that shelf. Some of the straight to DVD crap I've had that's pretty old from like the early 2000s and even recent ones seem like they're all on there. So if you want to give them a chance, they're on there. But nonetheless, let's get to Cant Blood. 6 movies we're going to talk about here real quick. Now I could have done these one at a time and done 6 different videos, but do you really want that? I don't think you do. So we're just going to go through them here. We're very quickly, one at a time. I have my notes here because there's a lot to remember. Like I said, these were produced by David Sterling. You might know the guy. He's on a lot of Cold Duder and Wet Movie 1 videos. He's produced a lot of stuff. And I think Cant Blood may be his second most popular, to something else we'll talk about here in a minute as well. But the first 3 movies were called, see, there was Cant Blood 2, and then Within the Woods, which is apparently not considered to be canon with the rest of the Cant Blood movies. Now, these were all made by, was it Brandon Cycle or something like that? He's the man to come up, I think, with High 8. So, for some reason, Part 3 isn't canon with the rest of these, so they jump automatically to Part 3, with it being a Mark Polonia film called Cant Blood First Slaughter. So, keep that in mind. The first 2, Cant Blood 1 2, were canon of these. 3, I guess you consider it a bonus movie. There's a couple of those. There's another spinoff later on. I think there's like 11 of these in all, so bear with me. But the first one was 2014 is Cant Blood First Slaughter, directed by Mark Polonia. Now, he tries to do a few different things with this. You'll notice there's a big Halloween flavor to it at times. There's a Friday the 13th flavor to it at times. So if you can imagine somebody trying to kind of add that into it, but just being really, really cheap about it, that's kind of Cant Blood First Slaughter. Now, it has the same problem that all these have. All these movies have 2 very bad problems. Number 1, they drag out, extremely drag out. And these movies are only like an hour long for the most part. So the fact that they're dragging out and they still can't fill up, much more than an hour in some cases, that's a problem. But they also use this really bad CGI effect. Like, you'll see like a weapon go in, it'll cut to like the weapon's broke, obviously, or cut off, and you'll see that part sticking out. Well, when this happens, they use CGI splatter. Now, I've been more open to using green screen stuff and some CGI stuff lately, if it's good, but I can never see me allowing this stuff to go on in a movie of mine. But then again, I can't make a sequel to any of the 2 movies I have made. I have 2 other movies that are this close to being done. And these guys have made 11 Cant Blood movies, so who am I to say? But nonetheless, the story here is you got some college kids, and they're going to go to the woods, and they're going to find out all about the Cant Blood killer. Well, this is a clown killer, if you wasn't aware of that. So, very strangely, at the very start of this, pretty much they kill off the clown, and we have a new killer taking over, which I almost feel like it was a little bit of a jab at the old movies. So, there's a different killer. So, the movie does some weird editing. They all go out to the woods, and then you see this little montage where we see basically everybody but one person die in the montage. So we already know how they're going to die. Then it cuts, inserts some news clips here and there, and then we go back, and we switch to a found footage style, which is kind of different. And it's a little inaccurate, though, because sometimes we see people filming from a camera point of view when the person that it should be filming doesn't even have the camera up. So it's awkward. Characters, they have a little bit of personality, which this comes into play here in a minute. So these characters, they're decent, but they're what you expect from a slasher flick pretty much. So, but it's Mark Polonia, so if you've seen his movies or the movies he did with his brother, you know what to expect. So it's fairly decent. So on my 5 scale, I'm giving it 2 because it's watchable. It's just really slow, but it's short. So unlike the next ones we're about to talk about, which are short but still kind of hard to watch. So let's get to the rough part, shall we? 2016's Cant Blood 4. This one is directed by Dustin Ferguson. Now, the next 2 films are directed by Dustin Ferguson. So we're in the Ferguson era here. So this one's basically people going to a concert, get stuck in the woods. Okay? This thing is very, very slow. there is a lot of obvious filler being shot here. We have people getting ready and they're looking in the mirror and music's playing and we hear the whole song pretty much, just killing time, padding it out. The clown is back for whatever reason, but a hunk of this movie is made up of flashbacks to the previous film too. So lots of stalling, very little in the way of substance, I would say, and then things finally get going a little bit in the last part of it. There's a lot of twist at the end of it, which some of them really don't make any sense. You know, it starts off, you get your kills, you kill a lot of time, you start killing off the new people, and then you get a couple of twists, and then the movie says it will be continued. So they went in this with the intentions of dragging you on to another one. So the way I look at it is Dustin Ferguson probably shot this movie and the next movie back to back. But when he shot them, either he originally shot them as one movie and someone got greedy and decided, hey, let's stretch them out to two, or he shot them all as intentions for being two movies, and then when it got done, he's like, oh wow, I don't have enough footage, so they put what we're about to talk about here in the second one. The score on that one, 1.5. 1.5. It's got some twist in it. I give it 1.5. So the next one, also from 2016, is Cant Blood 5. Continues from part 4. Half of this movie is flashbacks of the previous movie. It pulls a Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, ladies and gentlemen. Another hunk of the movie, there is a scene where the lead that is returning from the last film, spoiler alert, sits down to watch David Sterling's Things, not that Things, but another Things, another movie that has several sequels. So she sits down on her couch to watch this movie, and it goes on and on. I bet she watches 10 minutes of this thing. So obviously it's time filler because they didn't have enough footage. So you got that, you've got the flashbacks. I don't know if you've got 20, 30 minutes of actual new footage in this thing, because it's like barely over an hour, so I wouldn't be surprised if you don't have 20 minutes. You know, we struggle into the last part, something finally starts to happen, and then before you know it, the movie's over. But it leaves you on like a little bit of a hang there. But, you know, as interesting as that little bit hanging might be, we never follow up. It never gets followed up in the next few movies, so it's a waste. This one, the lovely Cant Blood 5, gets a half. Not a 1.5, but a half. So with that, we now go to 2016. 3 movies. 3 Cant Blood movies in 1 year. Cant Blood 666. Taking over this time is Ted Mohing. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. This one here has a cult twist to it, and the cult part's pretty cool. When it first starts, the whole cult thing's pretty cool. They're trying to resurrect the clown killer, and you know, it obviously works or we wouldn't have a movie. But it kind of gets a little bit different than what you might expect, and we're off and running, or so we think. Because after the cool opening, we meet our lead. She goes finds her boyfriend. She's going to go track down this cult and her brother that's in the cult. She goes talks to people that know something about it, but nonetheless, you know, people get killed here and there. But this one really drags. Like, this was dull. This was sitting outside to watch the grass grow dull. And then finally, we get to the climax of the film. Stuff happens and it ends. And again, there's twist after twist after twist. And if you think, well, maybe this will pay off in the next one, nope. Unless we talk about it in the spin-off, like The Ghost of Cant Blood, that I haven't bothered to watch yet. That's the one on there I haven't watched yet. Unless this is addressed in that, it's not addressed in the next one. So, that movie, for all of its trouble, gets a 1. So that brings us down to 2017. So, in 2 years, you get 4 movies in 2 years of Cant Blood. This one here is by Mark Blona, who comes back behind the camera to do Cant Blood 7. Now, this time kids are going on fall break. Now, okay, it's pretty basic in the plot, right? Like, it's just a bunch of kids that got an excuse to go to the woods and die. That's basically what it is. You got the clown killer back. But this time around, the characters, even though they're kind of hateful to each other, it kind of looks like something I'd write because my characters tend to be that way too for some reason. Is the characters, I don't want to say they're unlikable. They're not the most pleasant most of the time. But these are actors that are actually pretty good at acting for a change, and they're bringing these characters to life, and it adds a little bit of sizzle to what you get. So, because those characters are pretty good, it's decent for what it is. So that helps a lot, even throughout the slow parts. Harplonia, with him back, you know, he's pretty big on using like green screen and CGI stuff, and He uses one part of it in here where he makes it rain on them when they're outside, which is okay, but you notice two things. Number one, they're not getting wet, even though they're running from the CGI rain. And two, when they're inside where they run and they're looking outside, you can't see the rain, but the killer's speaking through the window. When you shoot to the killer outside, he's speaking through the window and this fake rain's still falling on him. Not getting wet. There's no rain from the inside. Now that's maybe petty. This is an indie film. It's a cheap film. Maybe it couldn't be helped, but you know, it's noticeable. And the movie probably ends up being better than it should be just because of Mark Polonia. I think his style shines through. He made some pretty good little visuals with the camera here and there. So while this is in no means great, or you know, maybe even good by traditional standards, I'll give it a 2. We go all the way to now. A new film for 2020, Cant Blood 8, directed by Dennis Devine. Don't know who this guy is. I've never heard of him. If you know anything he's done, let me know, but I don't know anything. We have a group of volleyball players who get trapped in the woods. Yes, they're in the woods. They're getting killed off by a clown. But there's a little bit more to this one because this clown has a mother that's kind of twisted as he is. I think they're trying to tie into maybe the very first Cant Blood. I'm not sure because I've not seen that one. The girls are good to look at. Some of the characters have a little character to them, which is good. There's a ghost that pops up and talks to one of the girls, which is kind of funny. So I'm giving them an A for effort with this because they at least attempted to be different. You still get the same CGI blood problems, and you do get the same problems with things being slow. Cool Duder is in this one. Sean Phillips. He's in like 3 and which ones is he in? He's in 4 and 5. But in both those movies, he's just talking on the phone. He's actually playing a character in this one. Don't know if it's the same character as the previous films or not. You have to ask him for that. I don't know. But he does pretty good. It's probably one of his better acting performances, I would say. So I'm going to give him credit for that one. And they try a little something different, even if it's still a bit slow. But still, with all that being said, the 2020 Cant Blood, by no means a classic. And probably by no means anything that's going to hit anybody's top 10 list at the end of the year. I'm giving it a 2.5, making it the best Cant Blood movie, which might be like being the smartest kid in slow class. I don't know, but it's 2.5. At some point, I plan to go back and watch 1 through 3, 1 through 2 with the spinoff 3, and I do plan on maybe checking out the Ghost of Cant Blood, which I don't know if it'd be good enough for me to actually do a video on or not, but I'm going to check all this stuff out. I'm going to do it. If maybe I'll try to get them all in there and come back and do another update on this. So, have you seen these? Do you like these? There's a box set out that's available, I think, now, or at least it was coming out with all these together on Blu-ray. You know, maybe it's something you want to check out if it is out there. Have you seen them? Let me know. Stay safe, stay in the house, and like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video if you want to. We need views around here. I need another reason to get motivated and do something.